What
He
up,
is.
Luke? How we doing?
Hey guys, what's up? Good to see you. How are we doing?
We're great. We're pumped to chat. I think the internet's excited that we're talking to you. So
Beautiful. Let's give the internet. Let's give the internet what
let's
they
do
want.
it. Yeah. So you're a
Cool.
GP at Re7. Is that it? You say Re7? Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's
It's a $10 million
sounds good,
fund investing in crypto, social, consumer crypto, and also, which I think we want to spend most of our time talking about here. You built Faircaster, which is the first autonomous venture fund managing real capital on Faircaster and Base. I mean, let's just jump right into Faircaster. Like, where did the idea for this start? I assume there were some insights from your private investing activities that led to this. So curious about the origin story.
Yeah, 100%. Look, it's the as you say, right? R7. We run this first check 10 million crypto fund. I do it with a guy called Evgeny, my co-founder here. He just took this thing from R7 from pretty much zero to now an organization that runs about $1 billion. And a lot of what goes on in the background is very sophisticated data infrastructure and sort of how you process this data and how do you make good decisions based off that data. And that inspired me a lot when we started the venture fund, building the same tools. And what ended up happening here is some of our early wins came from these tools. And so we started thinking, hey, how about we open it up? We start experimenting in public. I think we share many theses around, internet capital and, bring community into what you do. And so we dropped Faircaster. I dropped Faircaster as sort of an experiment out there. And I think the edge that it gave us, it kept when it went live and public. We also got a lot of great feedback from traders, investors, founders on Faircaster, and the rest I think you guys know pretty much the rest.
So I guess I'm curious about the tech. Like, how is this making decisions? And I'm also very curious about the economic model here. Where's the capital coming from? How does it make money, etc.?
Yeah. So tech is basically you can think of it as a as a venture firm, right? That runs autonomously. So you have essentially all of the things that you'd have in a venture firm. You have the guy that spends his whole day on Twitter and Faircaster sourcing stuff. You have the researcher that compiles these theses and looks deeper into these projects. You have the thesis writer. You have the partners that sort of take a critical eye on these memos that have been written. There's actually a couple more pieces that you need for an AI agent around, kind of constant learning. And I like to think of this module as the janitor, but it you can conceptualize it as a venture firm, but it's not people, it's agents. And so in terms of like the technicals, the pipeline, as you have to imagine, is the agents is consumed. I was looking this morning, I think it's 700,000, basically 750K casts that it ingests in real time from a select list of users that have been identified as, key founders, key investors, or just great traders. You can think of these people as, very central in the open social graph. And from these casts, we extract a shit ton of information. And this information gets turned then into a list of projects. We've sourced about 500 projects on Faircaster and Base. And then a subset of these projects then become the target of a deeper investigation, and an even smaller subset then gets invested in. And so right now the numbers are 500 top of funnel, and we've ended up investing as of now in 8 of these sort of project with a liquid token. So on the tech side of things, that's how it looks like. It runs 24/7. It's autonomous. The only part where the team gets involved is we get these alerts that we rate and that we give signal back to. So that also improves the model and the world model of the model. That's one bit. And then the second bit is on the executions, right? Like the final, 3% of the job. I still click buttons. I'm serving the clanker.
Okay, so I guess I'm curious where the capital is coming from this. And, I noticed when we look at the public profile sites, etc., there's no mention of AUM or of any way to really judge how to value this.
So that would be today, actually, a little half-find. We'll drop today a transparency dashboard. Dune has been done by Runner. Runner works with me on Faircaster, world class community builder and communications guy. Yeah, run chat. I'm sure doing God's work. So yeah, big out to Rana. So he's built a fantastic dashboard. So that transparency will be a lot easier to get to. Right now the fund is 100K. It's up more than 2x since the initial raise, you could say. And the capital comes from just a couple of individuals that have been super helpful to me and sort of advising. And yeah, it's basically like a small amount of prop capital that we use to test it out. But at the end of the day, this is an MVP, right? Like the job is to scale here. It's to scale the quality of the signal, the breadth of investable assets as well, but also scale on the capital side of things, right? Once you've proven out the use case in the R&L niche, you can make it.
How do you imagine the token fitting more deeply into the either participation around the agent or kind of economic upside of the agent looking forward?
Yeah, so we're still pre-Clarity Act. So on all stuff tokens, you have to be obviously very deliberate and sort of cautious, which is why it's yeah, it is still questions, right? I think what I say about the token is the people that bought this token are the people that believed in this and me and Faircaster early, and so the way I see it is my job is to make these guys win. There will be a lot of economic upside here. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing it. And yeah, from that upside, the expectation is to make these.
I'm curious what the biggest, I guess, like bottlenecks or kind of technical challenges to actually scaling this to being able to manage, millions of dollars or more.
Yeah, I mean, look, right now the bottleneck is me. I've been mostly involved in sort of building on the technical side of things. Runner has been an incredibly value add sort of addition to the team. Now I basically need a technical runner to work alongside me. There's a couple of really great guys that could be persuaded, so we're working on it. Actually, I'm putting together a team. So if there's cracked engineers in that audience that wanna hit me up, I'd be also open to these conversations. But yeah, right now that's the bottleneck. It's just we need a crack dev to implement the signals. I know exactly what I want to have in there, right? It's super like when I mean, you guys know it, right? You guys run a fund. You guys know what you like to see. I know exactly what I want to see signal wise and data source wise. There's a lot more I want to add. It's just now technical bottleneck.
I'm curious how it seems like a lot of edge in these emergent tokens is being early. Is that part of the plan here, or are you trying to pull more of like a fundamental analysis from social signals that gives you longer term hold times?
Yeah, it's definitely the fundamentals. I mean, it's like, look, you can think of these as trades or as investments. We have made a very clear decision here on how we think about the Faircaster economy and these type of businesses. My view is there is incredible value in some of these companies and some of the mechanisms that are put out there, and so this is the only thing that we look at. I think that I'll leave it at that. It's fundamental.
How are you thinking about, I guess, the future of venture capital and how agents kind of are going to change the nature of the firm looking forward, or the nature of access and kind of gatekeeping, private capital, all that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's a funny time for people managing money, right? I'm sure you guys feel that as well. It's an interesting time because the opportunity set, I think, has never been so asymmetric, but also it's changing, it's moving. And so I think the way I see things moving, I see a bunch of, there's a big change right now, right? The LLM part of things, that's obvious, right? Let's leave that on the side. It's a TBPN guy has been covering this very well. And so, we don't need to chat more about it. What I think is underrated and unseen is stuff like Faircaster and like tokens, right? And I think to me, what's new here and what creates massive opportunity is this sort of permissionless deal access. A big part of what we do is deal access, right? Like we offer access to founders that, maybe traditional boring LPs wouldn't have access to, or that people that don't spend their entire day, yapping online would have access to. And I think that's going away, right? I think like access, if you like noise, you could have been in noise since the beginning. Like if you like Clanker, you could have been in Clanker since November 4th, 2024, right? It's the access is here now. So the edge comes from a different place. And I think, back to your question of future of venture capital, I think there's a lot of questions going on, right? And then I see like my experience of capital allocators has been there's a bunch of people in denial, right? that sort of cling on to the fact that, maybe what we do is super unique and we have this like unique taste and unique access, and there's no way you can automate any of this, right?
VC is
Okay, well, that's
the
good.
last
That's the
remaining job.
counterparty.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. This is the last remaining job. Okay, well, perfect. That's my counterparty right there, and I take that counterparty any day of the week. And then there's a bunch of funds that see the future, man. I mean, there's a bunch of good funds out there. I don't know, like USV would be a good example, right? Where these guys have been working on doing AI internally for over a year and a half, right? Fred Woodson's been pushing this. They built this librarian sort of inside repo of knowledge, and there's a lot of funds sort of exploring this, which I think is dope, and it's that's good. I think that's a good indication. But I also think no one's been really doing this first. No one's really first principle this, which is you want to run this autonomously. You want to rebuild the whole thing, right? Like the point is not just automate some of the stuff that you have and sort of turn. And basically, what most people are doing is sort of turning internal knowledge into maybe different forms, right? Like take internal knowledge, make it a tweet thread, right? Or like, take this IC meeting that you have and make it into nice notes that the analyst can read. I think there's a lot more use case in just having listeners out there in the world, just pick up information, build a word representation, and
I'm curious about your thoughts on the broader category of tokens launching early. Like I think you named a few really well-performing tokens over the last little while, and yet there are thousands upon thousands of others that haven't done very well. And so this question of like, when's the right time to launch a token? Are there good businesses that launch tokens early that give you the same sort of upside early that you would have from being a seed or pre-seed investor? I'm curious your thoughts on the state of token launches, ICM, at the end of 2025.
Yeah. I think two things are true at the same time, right? I think your take is very valid, right? A lot of this isn't needed and is actually actively harmful. I mean, you guys are, you're prolific investors. You've done much, and so you know that the token can really distort signals around product market fit, right? Not only can it, just distract you, but it can actively distort how good your product becomes. On the other hand, and just to stay on this for a hot second, I think that model of, ICM essentially is a clever way to monetize attention, which I am all for. My entire fund thesis is crypto is a better way to monetize attention, right? And I think, we'll make a shit ton of money by backing this and by enabling new types of businesses that just cannot exist in the current setup, right? But businesses don't thrive on attention, right? Like businesses thrive on creating something that people want, solving a problem, that's sufficiently large, sufficiently well, with good unit economics and so on. And so I'm not sure that the attention-driven capital formation mechanism for businesses is what makes sense. Will there be a crypto native way to form capital for businesses and startups? I'm very convinced of it, and hit me up if you
hit us up too. We agree.
I'm interested in what you think. I think we've seen a few other kind of venture capital agents or DAOs really like blow up over the last 6 months, like AI16Z. I think AI XBT maybe. I think there are a few in the kind of virtuals ecosystem. What do you think Faircaster's flying under the radar right now?
Under the radar, and you mean when you say
everyone knows about it? Whatever, multi-$100 million market caps.
Yeah, I mean, fantastic products that I think have really nailed attention and attention mechanisms. And look, at the end of the day, like you need to win on that front. And so I'm so happy to work with Runner, and he's really good at this. And him starting a couple of weeks only ago is already really helping. But at the end of the day, once again, like you can't have just attention, right? There needs to be a lot more. I don't know if you guys played with these products out there. I mean, they're not particularly. I mean, there's no good products, right? Like we at the end of the day, like we built the thing. Like this is the first autonomous venture fund out there that has source project, that has moved capital.
The problem is obviously you're not willing to do crime, and I think that is bullish long term, but it is very short term. So I mean, it's like if you were to come out with a very clear tie-in between the token and open up access to fundraising and grow the AUM of like there's a lot of things that I think would make it probably far more clear to the public in the way that it's probably clear to you because you kind of have a vision of what's going on here. And yet I think, I think it's very bullish for somebody to sit here and say, listen, there's a lot of uncertainties here. There's still a lot of legal realities we have to play with. And, if the market doesn't value that in the short term, fine for it, gives the rest of us an opportunity to get exposure. And I think in the medium and long term, it's where it will pay off.
Yeah, and you know, just to add on to this, I also want to eat the humble pie here for a second, right? Like, I have this vision of the future. I think I know where things are headed on that front, right? But you know, at the end of the day, there's like the ultimate test of reality and how good this does, right? We have, I think, very early good proof points. This is working out on the community side. On, you know, some of the investment have been performing extraordinarily well. But you know, we haven't won yet. Like, we have everything to prove.
What
and,
does
you know, we're
Faircaster
proving.
think of the 11 a.m. token?
So funny that you should ask, but I think something about it. I'm not gonna say more.
Good. All right, brother.
Yeah.
Appreciate you hopping on. We're gonna leave it there. Sounds like you have a post coming out later today that's going to add a bunch of visibility into what you guys have been doing. So,
Yeah.
your folks, if you're listening, make sure you go give Faircaster a follow on X. And yeah, Luke, I've enjoyed our conversations. Thanks for hopping on and kind of, I guess, being early here and introducing people to clearly a category that is going to be on everybody's minds in various ways in the next little while. And so seeing people put chips on the table and start taking bets on it, I think is I don't know, well worth paying attention to.
You heard it first on 11
There we
a.m.
go.
In the honky
Cheers,
horn.
guys.
I love it. All right, brother. Best of luck, and we'll have to check in again soon.
Thanks.